We can't be strong Black women every second of the day. The biggest breakthrough in my entire world was
Welcome to the Breakthrough to Purpose, Passion, and Prosperity. I am here today. I am here today with Paula Marie, who does Black Girls Do Pilates Too. Oh, y'all don't hear me. Black Girls Do Pilates Too. She is amazing. I can't wait for this conversation. I'm so excited to talk to her about her purpose, her passion, and her prosperity in her life. Hey.
Hey, Tanya, thank you so much.
How are you?
I am pushing through. Like, the voice is trying to do what the voice is trying to do when it's overworked, and the body's trying to do what the body's trying to do. But we got things to do. We got goals to meet, so we got to keep going.
I receive it. I am so glad you took the time, because I know how busy you are. I know that you're teaching Pilates all over the probably worldwide. Realistically, you're teaching it worldwide. You got your business going. I'm really excited to get into this conversation with you.
Me too. Let's go.
So tell me. So I got to start with, I know you're a Capricorn, a January 1st baby, right? So only thing I know about them is that they stingy with their money.
Ooh, no, you did not.
But other than that, they real cool. I got a lot of Capricorn friends, and they are, when I walk by them, I hear sympathy of all the dollars in their pockets screaming.
Listen, let me tell you something about this. See, everybody got a lot of Capricorn friends, okay? Because everybody's like, oh, them Capricorns. But I got a lot of Capricorn friends. You want to know why you got a lot of Capricorn friends?
Here we go.
Because we loyal.
Is that what it is?
Because we're loyal. We're always going to be 100.
That's
okay?
true.
We're determined. We always got goals, and we put our goals first. And we going to help you. We not going for our goals. We helping to pull you with your goals. Like, we going to push you too, sis. When it comes to that money, we're frugal.
Is that the word, frugal?
Because we work too hard for our coins. We got these multiple streams of income. And so, we're frugal, but we're going to spend money on the things that matter to us.
Absolutely.
And that make our lives amazing and soft and purposeful. And so, so we're not frivolous with our coins. That's why you hear them clink, clink, clinking when you walk past us.
I do.
Because they're there for things that serve us, okay, and serve the community, okay. Now, what else you got?
I just wanted to get that part out the way.
I'm glad we did.
I just wanted to move through it, okay. So tell me, who is Paula Marie?
Ooh, wow. Right now, Paula Marie is in her soft life phase. Like, she has done the work to know who she is. She's done the work to command her expertise. And she is now using her expertise to just live the life that she's always wanted to live, unapologetically, without the code switching and the people pleasing, because to get to this place, you've got to hit these milestones in your business. And Paula Marie started off as a person who loved dance, always loved dance, was a theater major at North Carolina Central University. Go Eagles, okay. I met Baba Chuck Davis, may he rest in peace, and became a member of the African American Dance Ensemble in Durham, North Carolina, which is an African dance company that's still alive and well today. And through that, I learned how to present. So I learned how to go and do lecture demonstrations at schools, and how to show up and do workshops, and how to turn on. And that, with my theater, because I was a theater major at North Carolina Central, that helped me to just understand like how to show up. Because I've always wanted to do theater, act, dance, sing, whatever. Fast forward, maybe 10 years after that, I became a Pilates instructor. And was really the only one in the room, like the only one in the certification, the only one that was like in the company that was on the team. Then I became a manager, Pilates coordinator, Pilates director. The only one out of like 100 Pilates directors. You think about that, 100 Pilates directors from all over the country, from Lifetime Fitness, and there might be 3 of us in the room. So, but I've always been Black Girls Do Pilates too. And so I've always shown up in that way. And so I started to create this offline, off work, alter ego with social media when that became a thing. And I said, I'm gonna call myself Black Girls Do Pilates too, because I want to attract other Black girls that do Pilates too. So it's a twofer. It's who I am, but it's also who I want to attract. And when you see me on anywhere you see me, you're going to see images, not only of me, but other Black girls that do Pilates too. And how powerful that is and what that looks like and all the shapes and the colors and the heights and the ages. You know, you're going to see all that. So that's really who I am.
Okay. And tell me, how old were you again when you did the African dance and all? How old were you again?
I was in college, so 18.
18?
18 when I started.
So you really wanted to be an actress?
Debbie Allen is my favorite.
Not Debbie.
Debbie Allen, that's my girl. That's my girl. That's my girl. Okay, don't hold them. Susan Lucci from All My Children.
Not Susan from All My Children.
Listen, she was so dramatic in that little tiny body.
Was she?
Did she not serve it every single time? And so I just resonate. But I used to watch like the old black and white movies like Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire.
Gotcha.
And I wanted to do those things. I wanted to be able to sing and act and dance. And I just felt like it just moved. So when I went to college and we were doing musicals, my very first show in college was Dreamgirls.
Nice.
And that's how I met Baba Chuck Davis, because he was the choreographer. So, and Dreamgirls, that took me on a whole journey because we did it my freshman year, but then someone that was in that show took it to the dinner theater like 3 years later. And so I did it 3 years later. So I was an extra when I first started at Central. When we went to the dinner theater, I was like a lead dancer and I had like one little line. But I was the understudy for L'Oreal.
Really?
And L'Oreal didn't show up one day. And they didn't rehearse with no understudies. So I had to do it, right? And so, but I knew the show because I'd done it for so long. I knew everybody's lines. I knew everybody's parts. I knew everybody's staging. So I had to go on as L'Oreal. And I ended up doing like 5 shows as L'Oreal. I called my whole family like, yo, I wanted the dreams. I wanted the dreams. Like, so my whole family packed it out one day. But yeah, like I've always wanted to be like that person. Acting and just showing up, and it's manifested itself in Pilates because I have to show up for my clients.
Absolutely.
Even when they can't show up for themselves, I have to still show up, and I have to be funny, and I have to be personable, and I have to know how far to push them, which is why knowing your clients, even if there's no verbal conversation, understanding what their physical cues are, their visual cues are to you. Because you can see tired, you can see confusion, you can see sadness, right? But they got there.
Got it.
They still came. Mm-hmm. So even through, they pushed through. And so my job is to show up for them because they showed up, Pilates.
You use show up a lot. Isn't that really what life is about, showing up at the end of the day?
Child. But before you show up, though, I gotta say, I just went to an amazing session about just taking care of ourselves as women. And before we show up, we have to allow ourselves the luxury of the breakdown. Because if we don't allow ourselves the luxury of the breakdown, we'll never be able to put ourselves back together in the way we are supposed to move in forward. because we're not here on one linear plane.
Not at all.
Like our journeys are going to change. It's like an intersection. And the breakdown allows us the opportunity to get to the intersection. You spill all your pieces and then you pick yourself back together again and you get to pick which direction you want to go in. And it's probably going to be a little different than the journey you just came off of. So we do have to show up, but we have to show up in a way that's authentic to how we're feeling. And that requires us having community around us that supports us, even when we're in the breakdown, that allows us that space. We can't be strong Black women every second of the day. We do have to have safe spaces where we do have some downtime so we can show up for ourselves.
I'm going to back up for a minute. Give us more clarity when you say the breakdown, because some people say, what does she mean by the breakdown? So if I was breaking down, how would you describe that for me? I need to break down. How should I do that?
It's different for different people. Like I have a friend and she gets very still and very quiet. Mm-hmm. She goes into her cocoon. So when she gets like that, I know that she's processing. That's what she needs to process. But I also know she holds things in. So I have to reach for her. So most people would say, oh, just let her process. No, we got to get some words out of her body so that she can understand it, feel it, like cry it out, break it through. For me, my breakdown is in my body.
Got it.
So, when my body starts to break down, I'm like, ugh, I'm overwhelmed. And my voice is always the first to go. Mm-hmm. And so we have to allow ourselves those spaces to honor what your body is telling you and say, okay, some things have got to shift. I have my ginger tea. My ginger mint tea stays on my stove. Let me give you this little quick recipe. Chop up some fresh ginger, get you some fresh mint, drop it in a teapot, keep it on that teapot. Keep it. Okay. Sip on it ice, sip on it hot, sip on it, add some honey and go. Some people, they get very angry. It's physical. It's all in their bodies. So nothing you say is right for them. They are hitting their point. And instead of them understanding they're hitting their point, they lash out at other people. And so the people around them need to understand. They need to have a conversation and say, look, I don't know what you're going through right now, but I'm going to need you to take a minute and breathe. It's good to have community around you, friends, family around you that understand who you truly are so that when you act outside of those spaces, they understand that's not who they are. Mm-hmm. There's something else going down. And then we also need to understand the symptoms of breakdown as it comes. And when those symptoms come, not to mask. Because again, the strong Black woman myth makes us mask. And so it's okay for us to say, I don't have it. It's okay for us to say, I'm tired. It's okay for us to say, I don't know what else to do. It's okay to say, I'm angry and I don't like it. Like all of our words don't have to be soft and nurturing and caring and giving, because that's what we do naturally as Black women. We birth the world. However, at the end of the day, we get to have our moments where we pour back into ourselves. So what does that look like? It may look like Saturdays and Sundays, I sleep late. Now, I ain't getting up early for nobody and nothing, okay? Because I get up early Monday through Friday.
I'm with you.
But I may wake up early, but I'm not getting up. That's my self-care. I'm cooking a Southern breakfast. I'm from North Carolina. So I'm cooking all the things. I didn't have no bacon today. So I was like, what do I have? I'm racking my brain. But I'm a Southern girl. I got something. Let me go get that shrimp and throw it out. Let me make me some shrimp and grits, okay? So that's one of the ways. I go to the spa twice a month. And I go by myself, which I've never done. But I was forced to because nobody else could come. So I said, I'm just going to stay 2 hours. I stayed like 7 hours. I'm just hanging out, taking my time. Take yourself out to dinner. Watch something silly on TV. call up a friend you hadn't talked to in a long time, curl up on the couch. Figure out ways that pour into you. And that's one of the incentives I have for this year. So I send out a weekly bulletin, email, blog that gives you like ways to pour into yourself. It could be like health, it could be nutrition, it could be fitness, but just something to like educate you and incentivize you. Pick up what you want, put down what you don't. But the more you know, the more you're like, oh, that sounds interesting. I want to do that. So, yeah.
So you figured out all those things through self-discovery, self-awareness. You've taken the time to just figure out what it is that makes you you. What when you need time to be at peace, when you need to be out, how to make yourself be happy with you. You figured that out.
I ain't going to say I figured it out. I will say I am in the process of honoring how I feel and how I ebb and flow, because it's never a constant. So in this life, there are going to be times that we ebb, and then there's going to be times that we flow. And when I'm ebbing, those aren't necessarily negative moments. Those are moments of self-discovery. Those are moments of me figuring out, okay, how I get here? Because I'm supposed to be up here flowing. And now I get to figure out, okay, well, that didn't serve me, so we won't do that again. That person didn't serve me, I'm not doing that again. I take those moments to really like learn from this journey. But I'm an all in or nothing person. So even if something looks a little crazy, if I feel like I want to do it, Tanya, I'm going to do it. Like I have a friend that says, I know you going to do it anyway. So be safe. I'm going to do it, because if I don't do it, I'll never know.
And you'll be wondering.
I will never know. So I'm going to do it, and I'm either going to learn from the experience or it's going to elevate me. It's either one of the two, and neither one of those scenarios are bad.
No.
So I'm learning. I'm in the process of learning.
So I asked that question because I want the audience to understand that we are always in evolving, and to be the best version of ourselves will never end to the day we die, realistically. If you really are trying to be the best version of yourself, you're always trying to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
And everything that happens to you is happening for you.
Absolutely. We are imperfectly perfect people, and we don't allow ourselves to let those imperfections show through. And it's because we haven't been allowed the luxury to do that. Other demographics can show up imperfect and they get all the accolades. We show up imperfect and we're a bum, or we don't have goals, or we're not smart, or we're not educated. And so those stigmas are their stigmas. We have to learn to create our own stigmas.
Yes.
So there are some people that I work with in my other business as a coach, and they hate video. They're like, oh my God, you got to put your makeup on and you got to do your hair. And I was like, no, look, not a stitch of makeup. I just did my eyebrows. You better get you some like $3 glasses.
Exactly.
Learn how to put these glasses in position and either beat your lip. I'm not a lipstick girl, so I got a lot of chapstick on and I'm moving. Like that's how I show up. But that's what's comfortable for me. We have to figure out what's comfortable for ourselves and allow ourselves to be uncomfortable, because then you start to attract like people. You attract what you give off.
Correct.
So if you're giving off something that's inauthentic, don't be upset when you look around and everyone around you is inauthentic, because you did that. You put that energy out there, and energy begets energy, so that it reciprocated it back to you. So you have to learn how to be who you are. And that takes a lot of walking in the way they want us to walk. Like being in the spaces that you aspire to be in to hit your goals. Because we're always hitting our goals. Why do you think other demographics are always so worried about us? Because we get up and we have it. We do it. We manifest it. They get up and it's given to them. That's the difference. So they could never replicate what's been given to them. But when we create out of thoughts in our head and our hearts and our passions. So you are a bad sister, honey, when you dream of something and now all of a sudden you put it on paper and now you've got other people like connecting with it and now it's become a thing. It's now a full entity of itself. Whether it's a pop-up shop, whether it's a coaching course, whether you're teaching Pilates, whatever the thing is that you're doing, you thought of it first and then you created and you put all the steps together so that you could get to this position. That's powerful. And I don't think we understand our own power.
I agree with you. Oftentimes, that's why the other cultures are so afraid of us, because they know exactly what you said, that we can manifest and do anything that we want to do. I was thinking about, I interviewed a woman named Carrie. She's a Caucasian woman, and we were talking about politics, and she was saying to me that the reason that everybody votes for Trump, that's mostly white, is because they want to make sure that they can get the people they want in Supreme Court to take away all the laws that empower us, right? And that we don't mix with their culture because they're afraid that we're going to take over. So it's a shame and a scandal that all those things are happening. And I was sitting here in awe, and as I thought about it, I thought, wow, that's really something. Other cultures are really afraid of the black people. Like,
Been afraid of us. Been afraid of us when they brought us over here. Been afraid of us because you take one thing away, we create something else. We're multifaceted. So how can you break down a multifaceted community?
You can't.
You cannot. We are always picking ourselves up from the dirt. And so when you say that, though, it makes me think that there are conversations about strategically, how do we get these things to happen in our favor? And those conversations, I feel, need to be happening in our own communities, like really strong conversations where we're putting people in power to do that. Because a lot has happened since the pandemic. There's a lot of work-life balance that we were talking about. Mental health was a big push and initiative. And those things are fading. They're going away. I need people to understand that companies are pulling the string on some of the programs that they had. No more is it the hybrid work life. They want you full-time back in the office where they can micromanage you. No more of, oh, you have a doctor's appointment. Well, we got a meeting. So the mental health initiative is now slowly fading away. Even the dollars that some of the companies have created in order to allow you, the employee, to be able to pay for Pilates or your personal trainer or the gym of your choice is diminishing. So we have to pay attention to not only how our dollars are looking, our personal dollars, but how money is being spent to be able to afford us the benefit to remain healthy and sane. There's no way we can remain healthy and sane going back to what we did prior to COVID.
no way.
And it's worse because now people are in such an angst to control. So they want to control all the things. So I'm glad I got out when I got out.
Yes.
Because I'm so happy.
Yeah, it's yeah. And quite frankly, I believe everything happens for a reason. And I believe that COVID came exactly for the reason it came, to give us the work-life balance.
I was probably gonna get fired. Now, I was about to get fired. Okay, yeah, because I had started to really own who I was, and they were trying to diminish that, but they wanted to use it when it was convenient for them. And no, you don't get to do that. I am a whole entity, whether you need it or not. So I don't give you pieces of myself and my fabulosity. So I started to push back a little bit more. And, because, and the job I'm speaking of, I was a manager. I've been a manager for government in corporate entities and commercial entities for the last 15 years. So Pilates, director, group fitness coordinator, Bally Total Fitness, Sport and Health Fitness, which is now, I think, One Life now, Lifetime Fitness, which is worldwide. And all the government agencies, like there's not a government agency I have not been in.
Really?
I was a group fitness coordinator for GAO, Government Accountability's Office. And I moved around to all of the government agencies. And then when I left there, I became a contractor. So when I left there and became a contractor, I went to a local government agency. And I was the group fitness director there, group fitness manager. 70 classes a week. 70 classes a week, and that was low. At Lifetime, we had like 150 classes, 200 classes a week. I had like 75 employees that I managed and a big budget. So that's my background for the last 15 years. And so I left the local government agency because when I started, we were serving the community. And then everybody left with the Great Resignation, and we got these younger people coming in, and they didn't know how to work with people. They knew great things about spreadsheets and templates and things like that, and they didn't know how to maximize people's expertise. The true reflection of a leader is to let the person that you are leading grow in the way that they were meant to grow inside of the organization, to make the whole mission and vision of that organization better. And we didn't have that.
Okay.
So it became more of a, sit down, be quiet. You're doing too much. We don't need that. Oh, can you do this instead? And I started to say, well, that's not within the scope of my job. I'm looking at my job specs, and that is not within the scope of my job. And they hated it because I'm smart. I haven't been a manager for 15 years for not. So it was time for me to go. COVID gave me a reprieve. It gave me a time to really grow wings in other places. But when it comes to leaving, I ended up leaving because I had too many opportunities coming to me.
Got it.
And I had to either say, you're going to either step on faith, and you're strong and powerful, and you've been given these gifts for a reason, or you're going to stay here and be miserable and have the man's foot on your neck. So I ended up going out on faith. And I'm not going to lie, the 2 years after I left, it was very difficult. I was damn near six figures, and I went all the way down, starting from scratch. But remember, we can create something from nothing.
Absolutely.
And we're multifaceted. So I have multiple talents and multiple ways to create and generate revenue. But things started to come to me. And I was at that time about to walk away from Pilates too. So when I left my job, I was walking away from Pilates because I was like, I don't think this fitness thing is my thing anymore. But it wasn't the thing, it was the space I was doing the thing. That wasn't the community I was supposed to serve. Where I'm at right now, that's the community I'm supposed to serve.
So walking out on faith, and now you're building back your business coaching, and now you're doing your Pilates thing. So are you feeling now like you're living more on your purpose?
And I tell people all the time, this is my soft life. I wake up every day and I'm just amazed that there is no stress in my day. There is no stress in my day. No one gets on my nerves, because stress will age you.
Absolutely.
Okay? And we know black don't crack, but baby, stress will crack that black. So yeah. I'm just so thankful that I was able to cultivate all the things that I ever wanted to grow in life. Starting as a young girl, there was nothing my parents said I couldn't do. It was I want to take dance. And it was okay, I'm going to take dance. And I was the only little black girl in my dance class, tap and ballet and gymnastics. And it was I'm going to try for the cheerleading squad. And at that time, my parents weren't working. That was during the after Carter, when Bush came in. And Reagan, and then Bush came in, and they got rid of all of the factory plants. So they outsourced all of the work overseas. My parents was part of that. They were textile workers.
Wow.
So they weren't working. For a minute, my dad found work at another textile. My mom said, I'm done with this. I'm going back to school. But it was tight because now we're on one. We went from 2 incomes to no income to 1 income.
Right.
So we're still not where we were. And when we were on 2 incomes, life was great. When we were on the 1 income, it was super challenging. And I was like, I want to be a cheerleader. And they were like, well, I don't know. We don't have the money for the gas to take you back and forth to rehearsals and things like that. And I said, oh, I can ride with Tammy, and she can drop me off at my grandma's house, and I'll stay at my grandma's house and go to school from there. They let me figure it out. There was nothing that I ever wanted to do that they never said no to. Every play, every game, every dance recital they came to. Up until I was an adult, they supported everything and still do that I want to do. And that's my entire family. So I'm very happy and very proud that I come from that, because I don't know what the word no looks like. I never heard it. It was just how. It wasn't no. It was just how. We can't do it this way. How? Okay, well, let's go around this way. So I come from that space, and I'm very happy that that was instilled in me at a very young age, and watching my family navigate through hardships and come out on top.
And so when you came to this point in your life, you was like, I'm just going to figure out how.
Just figure it out how. I've already been through the worst. I grew up with 2 households, going out every weekend, going to the wrestling match every other week. I've seen Ricky Steamboat, Ric Flair in person. I've been behind the stage with them and took pictures with them. I wish I could find them, going out to eat and doing all the things I want to do. I went through having the greatest childhood ever to having nothing.
Got it.
And saw how my parents were resilient enough to figure it out. And that was the best lesson that they ever could have given me, because I'm always going to figure it out based off of that. And also understanding how my family wrapped around to help them figure it out. And so that's why community is super important to me. So everywhere I go, there's community. Even my Pilates classes, there's community. There's a feel good when you come inside those spaces. You know that you belong. And you can always tell the newbies, because they come in a little timid. They don't know what to do. Everybody else is like, they're just talking and, laughing. And maybe if you're quiet or introvert, you still come in, but you sit down on your reformer, you waiting, you chilling, you know what's next. Wait for the instructions. But a new person who's never been there, they're standing up, they're trying to figure out what to do. And I have to come in and break the ice and be like, what y'all standing up for? Sit down.
Right.
So community is important, because you should feel like you belong in every space you walk into. You should feel like when you walk into a space, you grow and magnify that space. And you should feel better when you leave that space than you did when you walked in.
Absolutely. I agree with that. That's all. And you do that well.
I try my best. I try.
What are you passionate about?
Seeing us win. I am passionate about seeing us win, but I am passionate more so about our health and our wellness. I'm so excited right now that there's more conversation about Pilates. I've been doing this thing 20 years, and yoga is always the thing. So when I start talking about Pilates, everybody's like, oh, is that like yoga? And it used to make me so mad. No, right? But you got to meet people where they are.
Right.
And that comes with growth and learning on my part. And so I'm like, you know what? There are some similarities to yoga and Pilates. But Pilates is going to make your yoga 100 times better. How? I got you now.
Yeah.
You want to know how?
Because I'm going to ask you how.
How, right? Well, yoga is thousands of years old, where Pilates is just 100. So we're a baby in this thing. And so the elements that Joseph Pilates pulled for Pilates is flexibility. That's a component of yoga. Breath. That's a huge component of yoga, right? Focus. Huge components of yoga, right? But what yoga doesn't teach you, and some of the other modalities, is like core control, core strength. So none of these things are possible to get into those postures without core control and core strength. And remember, no one teaches you how to walk. No one teaches you how to stand. No one teaches you any of that. So we walk with an imbalance, or stand maybe with an imbalance. Maybe our posture's off based off of how our spine is aligned or not aligned. And so we've got to learn how to pull from the inside out, right? And make sure our core is always in. Our core is always working. Even sitting here, core is on. Should be on at all times. Standing at the grocery store, core is on. So if your core is on, then you cannot injure your back. It's highly improbable because the core's main focus is to support and stabilize your back. Your back's main function is to support and stabilize your spine. But when you see people getting into these postures, they're just reaching by any means necessary, and their back is going into more of that, like that flexion, and you can hurt yourself. But if you have your core intact, very minimal, and you can stay in the poses longer, because now it's like you've got your internal girdle turned on. So now you don't have to fight so much. You just have to live in it. Now you can focus on the focus and the breath and the stamina of being able to hold the pose. And that's one of the components of yoga as well. I teach all formats. I have a yoga certification. I don't tell people. It's not my thing. But I know enough that I can bring pieces of all the things that I teach into what I do. So that's what makes my classes and what I do different than anyone else. And the next instructor should do the same. Whatever your superpowers are, bring those into your classes as well.
So, in terms of being passionate, do you feel like passionate can... Some people are passionate about certain things, and then some people are passionate just to gain something, if I'm making sense. You know what I mean? They kind of...
So let me tell you what that is. The first one is passion.
Right.
Okay? Because it's the thing that makes you smile when you think about it. You get excited when you talk about it. You can talk about it for hours. You want to learn more about it. You want to meet people around that thing. You want to be inside of those spaces where that thing lives, right? Mm-hmm. But if you're just doing it just to gain something, that's not passion. That's greed.
Thank you.
That's selfishness, right? And passion is what's going to keep you going when it gets harder. Greed will not. You're going to shift and go to something else. You're going to pivot. You're like, well, this ain't working. Let me go to this. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I've seen that as a manager and a director where, they taught Zumba, and nobody would come to their Zumba classes because they just didn't have that thing that pulled people in. And they were like, well, I'm going to get trained in body pump or power flex, which is a strength training workout. And that spoke to them more. And it wasn't maybe their passion, but because they were receiving what they needed to in terms of the energy, they were able to stay in it. But they weren't passionate about it because, give them 4 or 5 years. They're not teaching it.
I mean, they're doing something.
Yeah, they're doing something else. People that are passionate about what I do, we still doing it. We still doing it in some way, form, or fashion. We may not be full-time fitness instructors, but we're still in this fitness thing because we made a conscious, concerted effort to say, this is where I want my life to be. I want to be better and stronger. Mm-hmm. I can do it for free. Mm-hmm. That's an incentive, right? That's also an incentive for the greedy. I don't have to pay a gym membership if I teach a class. Oh, well, let me learn how to teach this class. But the time that it takes to practice and to perfect your craft, the people, knowing how to manage people, knowing how to deal with different people's emotions and personalities, that's part of it as well. Learning how to meet the expectations of the space you work for, right? That's another one. Then there's always a new, fresh instructor that comes in, and everybody wants to test that person out. So there is, on some level, in some people's mind, competition. I don't have competition. I compete with myself because I'm very rooted in who I am. I'm very clear that there'll be people that are for me, but there'll be people that aren't for me. That's why I tell my clients, I need you to try all the classes. Take all the instructors. You need 3 people on your team. Paula ain't gonna be here all the time. Paula like to go out. Paula like to go outside. Paula like to travel, okay? And sometimes Paula's body breaks down. So you need 3 people on your team so that you don't get caught up with that one instructor. But it also helps the facility to create this synergy with the clients not being hooked on one person. And if that one person leaves, then that client probably will leave. So I'm also thinking with my manager hat as well, because I don't want to be the end all be all to your fitness, your health and your wellness. I want you to understand that. So I'm just excited about the amount of Black women that are just looking at Pilates as an option, understanding that it was made for them. I get every opportunity I can to let them know and educate them that Joseph only trained 2 women, and they were 2 women of color. And one was Lolita San Miguel, who I met 2 years ago when I presented at the Pilates Method Alliance convention in Las Vegas. She was there, and I got a chance to meet her and her husband and talk to her, and she told me great stories about her. She's Puerto Rican. And Kathy Grant. She told me great stories about her and Kathy Grant. Kathy Grant's African American. Those are the only 2 women that Joseph said, let me train you and teach you how to teach this. Everybody else, smoke and mirrors. Whatever you read, smoke and mirrors. Only 2 women of color, Hispanic, Latina, and African American. Lolita San Miguel and Kathy Grant, sister. Yeah.
That's awesome. Let's talk about some breakthroughs. Can we talk about,
Yes.
tell us about a breakthrough a significant one that kind of impacted your journey as you started to move in towards just Pilates or anything in your life. Like, what was a breakthrough that you found, that something that impacted your life that made you change?
I would say I might cry on this one. The biggest breakthrough in my entire world was losing my oldest son when he was killed. And he was killed at the age of 18. It was very sudden, and I had to be still. We talked about being still and allowing yourself the luxury of the breakdown, and I didn't. I was in school full time for my master's when it happened. The funeral was during finals. I emailed my professors, but they were like, we can only give you like another week. We need your projects in. So immediately after I buried him, I came home and was hitting the books and turning in my finals, and just stayed on that pace. Like, school was like the thing that kept me busy. It was my distraction until I broke. I remember, I think they put me in the wrong class or something happened, and I called. I called, and baby, because I didn't allow myself the luxury of the breakdown, oh baby, I broke on that person on the other side of that phone. I broke on. And then I put the phone down and I just broke down and I cried, because I knew I had just stepped outside of who I am. And I knew that it wasn't me, it was my grief. And so from that point, I dialed it all the way back. I went down to just taking one class, and just really focused on just my youngest son and making sure that my youngest son was okay, because he was in elementary school at that time. He was in the 1st grade. And so making sure that he was able to express, because what I know about boys, they don't. That was the biggest epiphany for me, because after that, I started to focus on like the most important pieces around me and myself. And I wasn't focusing on myself at all, because I didn't allow myself the luxury of the breakdown. And what it's forced me to do is to always live in the truth of what I feel. So if I get that feeling in my spirit, that tightening that we get, that tension in the body, however your body manifested, I know those things aren't for me. I honor those things because it reminds me of that feeling that I got when I lost my son. So, and I get those feelings instantly when I'm in a space with people that aren't for me, or I'm moving in a direction that I shouldn't be moving on, because it feels like you're fighting instead of it just
Flowing.
And so that was my biggest breakthrough, was him giving me that, my oldest child, giving me that feeling that I can always tap into and listen to help guide my steps. And then, of course, I talk about how amazing he was every single chance I get. And my youngest son, who's 19, we talk about him all the time. And they are very similar, but they're also very different. And so, you know, I've been able to manifest this amazingly badass 19-year-old who has all of the smartness and brain power and planning and kindness and thoughtfulness of his mom and his dad, without the crazy of his mom and his dad. So yes, Franklin, that's my baby, Franklin. He's amazing. I always shout out my boys.
Okay, and so I just can't imagine what that. He's your firstborn, and you get the call that something's happened to him, and you still have to move forward.
And when I got the call, Tanya, it wasn't that. They said, "Oh, he was in an accident." I had literally just moved to North Carolina. He was staying in North Carolina with my parents, going to school, and he was in high school. And I just gotten a job in North Carolina. I was the Pilates director for a new Lifetime Fitness there. I'd only been on the job less than a month, and they said something had happened to him, and I was like, "Oh, well, let me go to the hospital." I thought maybe he broke a leg or something. I had no idea it was to that extent.
Right.
And after I saw him, and they were about to take him into surgery, and he never made it to surgery, but I did get to see him. I realized that his whole purpose, Paylor's purpose. Paylor. That's my mom's maiden name. Paylor's purpose was to teach me how to be the best mom I could be to Franklin. Because when I was a mom to Paylor, I was so busy trying to do all the mom things and I was a young mom,
right.
And you know, I was a single mom, and so money was tight, and so you're so busy trying to like put the pieces together when you don't really like make sure that the infrastructure is together as a mom. You're trying to keep the lights on.
Yeah.
Trying to make sure you have gas to go to work. You know, you're trying to make sure that he has a great birthday. And I remember one birthday, I had to talk to him, and I said, "I know you want like this huge birthday party at like, you know, Chuck E. Cheese, but I don't have the money for that." And we had gotten him a trampoline. And he said, "Well, Ma, I don't really need all that. I just want to have like a birthday with like my friends. We can do it here at the house. As long as I'm with you, I'm good." And oh my God, I just broke into a million pieces. So, you know, my dad cooked out. The kids came over. They were jumping around on the trampoline. We had popsicles, and it was all, and they were fine. And so what Paylor taught me is that instead of trying to do all the things that you think you're supposed to do as a mom, tap into what your child wants you to do as a mom. And so my relationship with Franklin was very different. We talk much more. We are connected a lot more. He's much more like his dad, whereas Paylor was much more like me. So Paylor was like a very outgoing personality, and Franklin's more of an introvert. But Paylor's purpose, because if we don't figure out what the purpose of these things are in our lives,
right,
they will break us into a million pieces. Paylor's sole purpose was to teach me how to be a better mom and to teach me how to love outside of myself. And when you learn how to love outside of yourself, then you can give back. You can give back to your community. You can give back to the people in your space. And that's what Paylor taught me. So I always go back to that purpose, because had it not been for him, I might still be teaching Pilates, but may not be teaching with the heart and soul that I teach with. My energy may be different. Who knows?
Right.
Yeah. So I always go back to the purpose. So very, very happy that I had that experience. Very happy that I have those memories. But that's the one thing that has given me the biggest purpose. And to live every day like it's my last. To do everything I want to do. To say everything I want to say. That means you
That
got to
part.
have people around you that can handle it.
Right.
Right? Because a lot of people can't handle it. You know, I'm a Capricorn. We straight no chaser. And people can't handle it. Okay. But we always say it with love and care. If we didn't love and care for you, we wouldn't say anything. It'd be silence in the room. So, purpose, that's my purpose. And that's what I've gotten.
Oh, great. I love that. How do you navigate challenges and resolve them while staying focused on the purpose in your life?
So my calendar is everything. And if I showed you my calendar right now, you would die. It looks like a crayon box exploded. There's so many pieces on it. My calendar keeps me sane. Also, because I've been in positions of managing multiple bodies, managing and programming multiple entities, it's easy for me to understand the 1, 2, and the 3, or the ABC. So when I go in to do anything, I'm always asking, what's the 1, 2, and 3? You know, the what, the how, the when. It's usually those are the questions that I need to know. What do you need or require from me? As long as I have those answers, I'm good. Things will break down, and that's something we as Capricorns, we're not real good at the plan. We don't like to plan, not planning. Okay, the plan needs to plan. Okay, I'm getting better at that.
You know, like the plan and not planning.
Yeah, because I be like, what do you mean? This is what we said we were good. And now I'm like, okay. Okay, well, let's think about it for a second. And then I may walk off because I got to get myself together. You know, I'm not going to have the meltdown in front of everybody, but I'm going to melt down, and then I'm going to come back with my bubbly personality, and I'm going to say, so tell me what we have to work with again. Okay, so let's pull this thing together. Because a Capricorn's mindset is about solutions. We're solutions-based people. So we don't sit and wallow in the problem. Mm-hmm. Okay, the problem happened. That's old news. Okay, we beyond that. What we gonna do to solve this problem? What's the solution? We on solution conversation now. If you're not adding to the solution, I'm gonna need you back about this conversation. Okay? So that's how I talk to my clients. When my clients come in and say, oh, well, I injured my shoulder. And I'm like, but we're doing leg series.
I'm sorry.
and you know, you take Pilates. They're two totally different things, right? But people will use any problem to get out or to take away from the fact that they're not pushing. Because my goal is to push you to be your best, right? And so I'm like, well, we're doing arm series. So relax your arms and your shoulder will feel better. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
And when we get the arm series, you can still do arm series on your shoulder. Because I have a shoulder issue too, so you can still do it. So we're solutions-based, and I'm solutions-based. So I'm always going to be focused on what the solution is, not the problem. Because if we give energy to the problem, then we're losing time on implementing the solution.
I agree.
Yeah.
And oftentimes people stay stuck.
Yeah. They want to fascinate over the problem, mm-hmm. versus, well, what tools do you have in your toolbox as a person to still be able to do what you do? What is it that you want to do? Do you really want to do it? Let's ask that question. Because we don't even need a solution if you don't want to do it.
Right.
Don't waste my time, sis. Do you see my calendar? Don't waste my time, okay? So, yeah, don't fascinate over the problem. Surround yourself with people that can encourage you, even if they don't have the answers, they can still encourage you through the solution of it. And try all the things.
Yeah.
You won't know until you try all the things. And there's multiple ways to get to the thing. It's not just one solution. So I'm going through the A to the Z. I got plans for every day of the week. So that's what you need to do.
Are you living a prosperous life?
What is prosperous? Let's define that first.
Sure. Let's define it. Because I think everybody defines what prosperity is. It's something, I think it's something that's customized to each individual. Because everybody's not motivated by money.
True. And I was going to say, like, everybody is. So when I come into the room and the conversation is on monetary value at the height, I'm bored. Like, I'm bored. I don't want to be in those. I could be at the bar at a restaurant, just getting my little happy hour drinking, because we like the happy hour in the DMV, and everybody's talking and socializing, and we have a large demographic of affluent African Americans in this county, in PG County. And when a person's conversation is on the monetary, I'm like, well, what you eating? Is that good? I'm bored over here, because if that's your conversation and the basis for your conversation, then we can't talk. Prosperity for me is there's got to be something inside of your world that's growing. Like, prosperity for me means movement. Mm-hmm. I see this flower that's like doing this and it's moving. I don't know why, but that's the imagery that I get when I think about the word prosperity. So there's movement. And it can't be, I hit this plateau and I made this and now I'm done. Well, what are you doing now that you made it there? So there's got to be some movement. For me, I do feel like prosperity can be monetary. When I was moving up the ranks, every job I got, I made more money. Mm-hmm. Every job I got, I had more perks. So that is a qualifier, but not the qualifier. And it could be at the height or it could be at the lowest point, depending on what value system you give it. I also think about whatever your goals are, like your personal goals. And what are you doing now that you're in those spaces? So I feel like I am, because I'm gaining traction with Black Girls Do Pilates too. I'm speaking all over the country at different conferences and women's events, talking about health and wellness and what that means to our community. So I'm touching the community that I want to serve. And I have my blog, so that opens me up to be able to meet people where they are that may not be accessible to me at these events. And then I have my own wellness events that I do locally here in the DMV. And that I also have one annual event that we do internationally. And this year we're going to Curacao. And that's kind of like our wellness retreat meets girls trip.
Got it.
Yes, we're going to have fun. We're going to have fun. So this year we're going to Curacao. Last year we were in Tulum. The year before that was during the pandemic, we were in Puerto Rico. Very so cool. Every year we go someplace fabulous. Fabulous.
You must. So what advice would you give someone who's listening to this and they're like, wow, I really may need to think about who I am and what I need to do? Like, what advice would you give a person who's seeking their purpose?
I would say move. Make sure there's some type of physical activity that's in your space. And you don't need to join a gym or a club or any of that. YouTube is amazing. I even got some free videos on YouTube now. You ain't getting all my videos. I got a portal for that. But you move, because there's something about those endorphins that run through the body that are created when you move the body. So we want to be able to move. And then also make sure you are treating your body well by what you put in it. So it doesn't mean throw everything out of your refrigerator. I hate those extremists, right? But maybe pick one thing. Say, I'm not going to do white sugar anymore. I'm only going to do brown sugar and honey. You want to stick with things that look like you, right? And just stay there. It could be I'm not doing anything white. I'm only doing whole wheat pasta, whole grain rice, whatever. That's the first thing, because before you can start to move on this next venture of what makes you more prosperous, you've got to have like this deep connection of who you are. And you can't do that when you're tired and lethargic and you're feeding your body like trash. So I would start there. Focus on yourself and it will come. Like the vision will come, because every time I focus on me, my vision gets so much clearer. And I'm like, God, I was thinking about that 3 years ago, but I could do that now. and the how and the when and the why and the what is very clear. So I would say focus on those things and only do things that you're passionate about. The money will come. You just have to connect yourself with people who can help you understand how to connect the revenue stream to the passion. But definitely focus on you. When you focus on you, then your passion can like burst through. But until then, you're too tired to be passionate. So how can you be prosperous at anything? That's what I would say.
Is there anything that you would like to add to this interview that we just haven't discussed yet?
Well, I'm working on something, if I get to talk about that.
Okay.
So I just formed a partnership with a major spa here in Northern Virginia. And I'm not going to say the name. You're going to have to follow me. You have to follow me to get the name. But it's huge and it's beautiful and it's amazing. 3 levels of spa-ness. And so I just formed a partnership with them. And I'm hosting my first event for National Pilates Day, which is the first Saturday in May.
Okay.
So information will be going out to everyone that's on my list. But it is an all-day experience at the spa. And we're going to host, and of course we're doing Pilates.
Of course.
But that is important to me because I want us to understand how to normalize nurturing ourselves. And we're not there. Like, we're not there. We're so busy trying to be all the things to everybody else. And then we come home and there may be people that we got to be all the things to. Then we got to wait until everything gets quiet. And by that time, you're exhausted. But that's the only time you have. Or if you wake up really early, that's the only time you have. For me, it's driving. When I'm in my car, it's the only time I have. But we've got to find moments and pockets of time that we normalize nurturing ourselves. What does that look like? It could be going to a spa. It could be going to a show. It could be going to a movie. It could be going to get your feet done, right? Everybody thinks that everybody gets their mani and their pedis on a regular, but that's stressful for me. Like keeping that up and getting an appointment and can't get the person that's stressful for me. So I just bought the kit and do it myself. But I do treat myself on occasion. And when I do treat myself, I go in the middle of the day when nobody's there. And that's how I treat myself. It could be going to a new restaurant. It could be going on a solo trip, So we've got to normalize nurturing us. And I want everybody to understand that the way that you do that is to be quiet and still, pour into yourself in your bubble, and then step outside that bubble and start doing things that are only for you. And go by yourself. Go by yourself. Like, that's hard for me. But I'm starting to do things alone because, it's no fun doing things alone. But I came home so refreshed. I didn't have to deal with other personalities. I left when I wanted to leave. I came when I wanted to come. Yes. And I was nurtured. So that's what I would say. Find those spaces in time where you can start to normalize nurturing yourself.
I receive it. I receive
Yeah.
it. Is there any, so let the people know how they can reach out to you. And is there anything that you want to like give the audience maybe free that they can like stay
Yeah.
in touch with you?
So I have I mentioned my blog before where I give you tips and tricks every week on physical, fitness, nutrition, emotional, just all the things wellness for us as Black women. So you definitely will get access to join that blog. And then you can find me anywhere on Black Girls with an S, do Pilates with an S and the number 2. Because there is a Black Girls Do Pilates TO.
Oh, really?
And there's a Black Girls Do Pilates TOO. But I'm the number 2. And I'm shouting them out too because, again, no competition. Anybody who is pushing Pilates and the initiative of Pilates out into the world, however you show up, they need to be supported too. So follow all 3 of us, okay? But I'm Black Girls Do Pilates, the number 2. And that's it. That's all I got.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it so much. Guys, this has been phenomenal. My heart and soul has been touched. And like I said, please I always get the PPP program. It's really not the Paycheck Protection Program, but the Purpose, Passion, Prosperity Program. Please always look at this. Take a moment in your breakdown moment and figure out what am I here to do? What's my purpose? How can I live my best life and be the best version of myself? Thank you. Thank you. Have a great, great day.